Hi everybody, and welcome to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. In this video, I've got two stories for you, and they both come with an update. One's from the subreddit Relationships, and the other one is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole? So if you want to go ahead and navigate through the parts of this video, you can use the timestamps right below it. Now, let's get started with that first story. This post is from the subreddit Relationships, and it's by user Lapdance Insecurity. Am I, 23 female, being irrational about my boyfriend, 25 male, of 4 years getting lap dances? I'm 23, my boyfriend is 25, we've been together 4 years and living together for about 4 months. We have a generally good relationship, talk regularly, get along, have sex daily, etc. Recently, we had a conversation about strip clubs. I told him I have no care about him going to strip clubs, but getting lap dances goes beyond what I am comfortable with. He says he has gotten lap dances while we've been dating and has no intention to stop getting them. We got into an argument because, as I stated, this goes beyond what I am comfortable with. But since we hadn't actually talked about it before, I cannot get too mad at him for getting them while we've been dating. However, I told him I'd really appreciate it if he doesn't get lap dances anymore, and he said that he would not stop getting them because he sees nothing wrong with them. I told him it feels like that isn't respecting my boundaries within the relationship. His response was that if I just want to control him, and if I don't allow lap dances, then there is no limit to the things I won't allow, such as going out with his friends, or bachelor parties, or weekend trips. I pointed out to him that since we've been dating, he goes on regular weekend trips, been to bachelorette parties, and goes out with friends. I've never had any fuzz about these and wished him well. He acknowledged that that is true, but said he will still never stop getting lap dances on the principle of the matter. This really hurts me and makes me feel like he has no respect for my boundaries. I feel like it won't matter if I ever bring up something when something makes me uncomfortable, because if he sees nothing wrong with it, what I'm uncomfortable with doesn't matter. To me, it seems irrational of him to project a hypothetical situation into the future of me not allowing him to go out with friends because I told him I don't want him getting lap dances. Am I being controlling and or irrational? Well, OP, in my opinion, this doesn't make you either controlling or irrational. You are just stating something that makes you uncomfortable, and you're asking him to please not do that because it makes you uncomfortable. You're not telling him, you're not ordering him, you're not giving him an ultimatum or anything like that. At least none that I can read in these lines, so it doesn't seem to me like you're asking for something that's super weird or controlling or anything like that. I'm not gonna jump on the dumping wagon because he's just being stubborn. He says he wants to keep getting lap dances because of the principle of the matter. It does sound to me like he's not taking into consideration your feelings, but not because he doesn't care about them, he's just a blockhead. You've mentioned the concept of irrationality more than once, which tells me that this is something that matters to you, so maybe you should have a rational conversation with him. A cool, calm and collected conversations with rationals and facts and interpretations of your feelings, so you guys can get it all out there and take a look at it. At least it's worth a shot. But what do you guys think? Let me know your opinion in the comments section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they had to say. Lazy G says, you should raise the issue that the problem is not as much the lap dances, but his inability to compromise. It's fine for him to not want to be controlled, but having mutually agreed upon boundaries in a relationship is normal and healthy. It's pretty crap if he won't even entertain any discussion. And OP responds, we're usually pretty good at compromising, but what would even be a compromise in this situation? Because I already have no problem with strip clubs, just lap dances. Only bachelor party lap dances at nicer, absolutely not touching places and none other? Breast Friends Forever says, the fact that he's not willing to put an end to something of a sexual nature with other women that makes you so uncomfortable says a lot. You are not being controlling, you are not being irrational. Stress that at this point. It's not even the lap dances that bother you, but the lack of consideration and compromise. Glinter says, dump that mother effer already. Here's why. You expressed a comfort level. You're okay with him looking at naked women, but not with touching them. When you told him this, he turned it around and made it about what you might possibly control in the distant future. That's manipulative because you've been together for years. By now, if you wanted to restrict that other stuff, you would have tried. Yep, dump him and get a guy who appreciates a woman that will let him watch live porn. OP's comment context. I told him this would probably be a deal breaker for me, and his response was, well, I am definitely getting more lap dances. I have told him why it makes me uncomfortable due to the sexual nature of it and the fact that a naked chick is dry humping my boyfriend's erection. Also, he said if I were a stripper or paid for a male lap dance, he wouldn't care, because under his moral code, that is okay. He has been clear he doesn't care if I get lap dances or even work as a stripper, not that I want to do either. He cares if I give a lap dance to some stranger at the bar though. Apparently that context matters because, like many people, he doesn't view strippers as normal women. Something I disagree with strongly, since just because they are being objectified doesn't mean they're not another human being. So there's that. I feel like we're both so stubborn on the issue that it really will just come to a breakup over a stupid lap dance next time he goes. Which is idiotic, but to me, nothing is going to change how I feel about them, so I don't know what to do. At present, I ended the argument with, fine, get lap dances, just don't ever let me find out because they're deal breakers for me. Which just seems to set up for hiding. I really have no idea what to do. Well, I feel like the community was able to help out some bit. There was one person that jumped on the dumping wagon, but they had their reasons for it. And OP also gave us a little bit more context on the whole situation. So how about we move on to the update to see if OP was able to resolve this issue with her boyfriend. Thanks everyone for the replies. Was not expecting to see so many responses. There do seem to be some trends, and I recognize that the phrasing of the question and situation is certainly one-sided and makes my partner seem more disrespectful than probably necessary. What I am seeing though is a relatively strong divide on people who feel strongly about this issue, either sympathizing with me or him. There is some great advice on how to properly address the issue in light of the difficulty of both of our stubborn natures. At this point, based on what I am seeing, there are plenty of other men and women who feel as strongly about lap dances as I do. I suppose even though the issue isn't settled, feeling validated is nice, but I won't be using that alone as justification for my cause. There are also several men and women who feel as though he is right in seeing lap dances as harmless. I heard a lot of, dump him now, he doesn't respect you. But I wouldn't throw away this relationship so quickly without a little calmer and more rational conversation. We are capable of that, and I'm sure if this relationship doesn't work out, it will end on a calm, realistic note, not in anger over principles or jealousy. So we talked a little more, in a calmer state, and agreed upon a couple of things. 1. I am allowed to feel any emotions I experience. Just because he thinks they're silly things to get worked up over doesn't make my emotions any less valid. 2. He told me that it was irrational to assume I would start taking away weekend trips or bachelor parties or bro time, because it has been clear in the past that those were never threatened or even cared about on my end. 3. He told me that he really doesn't care about lap dances, he cares about me, and because of the way I addressed this in a calmer, more rational manner, thanks Reddit for helping me with the language, that my concerns made sense. He said he will still probably have 1 or 2 more lap dances in his life at bachelor parties likely, but I will be on his mind, and the idea of hurting me over something unnecessary will be enough to skip them. Part of this last conclusion was established when I pointed out how upset and hurt he was a long while back when I went streaking with some friends, men and women, even though I saw it as harmless and he thought I crossed the line. That allowed him to understand that while we may disagree on the specific issue at hand, respecting each other and giving up on these silly non-necessities that don't really matter to either of us in the big picture is more important. We both agreed that these are based on our different moral opinions and emotional responses. That doesn't make either of us irrational or controlling, just concerned or hurt by the situations. Thanks again, everybody, you really helped. Wow, OP, this is a great outcome. Thanks so much for sharing your update. You guys had a really cool conversation where you acknowledged each other, validated each other's feelings, and made an effort to see the issue from the other's perspective. The result? You didn't break up, you moved forward stronger as a couple. Congratulations, OP. And on that note, we now move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user 7227 Throwaway. Am I the a-hole for giving my stepson's room to my daughter? I'll try to keep this short. I've been married to my wife for over a year now, have a stepson, 14 male, and a biological daughter, 9 female. When we married, my wife and I agreed that I would sell my house and move into hers because there's more living space. Stepson already had his own room, so my daughter got the extra bedroom, which is smaller than his. It was fine at first, but my daughter has a lot of stuff, and soon it became too small and cramped for her. Stepson also only lives with us part-time, 5 days with us, 9 days with Biodad, and has a huge room at his dad's. My daughter lives with us full-time, so this is her only room. It seemed to me that the logical thing would be for my daughter to have the larger room since she has more stuff and spends all of her time here. My wife was hesitant at first and felt like my stepson would be upset and feel like he's being pushed aside. But I convinced her that my daughter needed the space more, so she ultimately agreed. We ended up switching rooms this week, freshly painted them, and my wife did some shopping for stepson's new room so he'd feel special. He came home from his dad's and we surprised him with his new room. He reacted okay, thanked us for the new stuff, and didn't seem upset at first. But now he's moping and has been cold to all of us. My wife is now regretting our choice and is upset at me for convincing her that it would be fine. I'm wondering if I did the right thing or caused a rift. Am I the a-hole? Yes, OP, in my opinion, you are the a-hole. Your logic is sound. It does make more sense for your daughter to have the bigger room in your house, considering, well, everything you told us. There's no need for me to go over it all again. The problem is that you went about it absolutely the wrong way. Your wife was right. The one thing you should have done before you did all of this was actually talk to the kid and see if he was okay with it. But instead, you just took it from him and then acted like it was some sort of surprise or a good thing when he got home. Of course he's gonna be off. Now, I've never been in that kid's situation, but I would believe that if somebody takes my room that way to give it to another kid, regardless if it's my sibling or my step-sibling or anybody, yeah, I'd feel pushed aside. So again, sound logic on your part, failing effort to get it done right. So yeah, you are the a-hole. So what do you guys think? What is your judgment in this situation? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they had to say. Excalibur 88815 says, you are the a-hole for not discussing it with your stepson first. At least give the kids a heads up. Jesus. Satan on the porch says, info, why didn't you bother to run this by your stepson? I mean, considering he reacted okay, he sounds like a decent kid. But what the F? I'd be pissed if I was just ejected from my room by my stepdad without my input, even if it was for understandable reasons. You're the a-hole for the surprise alone. The rest of your reasoning makes some sense, but you really disrespected him by doing it this way. Windy Afternoon says, you're the a-hole. Talk about prioritizing one kid over the other. His whole world is changing. His mom is remarrying, he has a new parent and sibling moving in, he has to go back and forth between houses, and you just completely took away his safe space to give it to your kid. Now you can be certain that he doesn't feel like a part of your family, because when he left for a few days, you took away his room. I feel awful for him. Imagine coming back to that. Surprise! Your room is gone. Your new little stepsister took it. Wow, I feel sick. If you're not ready to parent both kids equally, which it sounds like you're not, please don't move in with this kid. Well, the community is in agreement that OP is the a-hole. The majority is also pretty much in line that the logic is sound, but that he should have spoken to the kid first before doing anything else. Now, we've got an update, which is pretty odd considering the verdict was you're the a-hole. So let's move on with the update to see if OP made things right. It was undoubtedly decided that I was the a-hole, and I accept that. Thank you to everyone who gave feedback and advice on how to mend the situation that I created. My wife and I sat down with my stepson and apologized, admitted that we messed up and would do what we can to rectify the mistake. I made sure he was aware that it was my idea, so he doesn't harbor ill feelings towards his mom. We actually found out that he was more upset than he let on and had cried to his bio dad about it. His dad offered to come pick him up and take him back to his house, but stepson declined and wanted to stay with us for the remainder of his visitation. So he seems to be feeling better now. We're giving him his room back, and my wife and I are moving into the smaller bedroom so both kids are happy. He'll be involved in the entire process and is going to be in charge of redecorating according to his liking. They're already shopping around online and he seems excited. He's staying with us for a few extra days so we can repaint and make the room switch as soon as possible. My daughter understands and is perfectly fine with the switch as well. Obviously, there will be no more surprises in the future. We'll be discussing every decision with him from now on, and I'll be stepping back to let my wife make the decisions regarding her son. To clarify a few things. 1. The reason my daughter needed more space is that she has more toys and larger items, play kitchen, doll houses, etc., and not enough floor space to play. Stepson obviously doesn't play with toys. She also has a larger wardrobe since she's here full time. To be fair, my daughter never asked for the rooms to be switched, so she's innocent in this. 2. My intentions weren't to hurt my stepson. I was going off of logic, but realized that I was careless and inconsiderate and have apologized for that. Hindsight is 20/20, and I know now that I was an ass. I do care about him and wouldn't purposely hurt him though. 3. I was not trying to drive a wedge between my wife and her son for those that made those accusations. I was wrong for convincing my wife to go along with this and acted carelessly, but there was no underlying malicious intent and I have no reason to sabotage their relationship. Thanks again to everyone who gave advice and helped me see things from another point of view. I'll do better in the future. Well, that's cool. OP opened up and listened, and he saw that he was wrong in what he was doing and corrected what he did. Good for him and good for his wife as well. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I certainly did reading them to you. So if you did, then go ahead and give the video a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and become a member of our Discord community that just keeps growing, and it is fantastic. And like I said in the beginning of the video, all of the relevant links are in the video description below, so be sure to check them out. And finally, I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to watch this video. It really does mean a lot to me that you guys enjoy this content, so thank you once again. And having said all that, I will see you guys in the next video.